So may the light of Jesus be with each of us and help us to grasp the most of this meeting today. So the topic today, we are going to talk about the happy new virtues. So every year, in the beginning of the year, we do like a meditation. What would you like to improve in our lives, right? What do we want to do better? So we make those resolutions. So we start the year committed to bring new things in our lives, to make a resolution, maybe to start exercising, make a resolution to stop smoking or eat properly, you name it, right? And we started very, very enthusiastic with those resolutions. But many of us, I don't know you guys, but I have lots of experience on that one. By middle of February, I started fading my determination. And by March, I'm right back where I started. I don't have that juice that keeps me going, right? How many people experience that? Thank you, I'm not alone. Okay, so the talk about today is about bringing new virtues so we can empower ourselves to make those resolutions happen in our life. So that's what we're going to talk about it, okay? Virtues are all the constant habits that take man to goodness, individually or collectively. A virtuous person is good to people who are good, but also good to people who are not good. This is the true goodness. So that gives us a little perspective, the amount of virtues we carry, because it's quite easy to be good to people that are good to us, right? But the problem starts arriving when people are not so great with us. So, if you know what I mean. So in the Spirit's book, there is this question, which is the most meritorious of all virtues? All virtues have their merit, because all are signs of progress on the moral path. There is always virtue when there is a voluntary resistance to the allure of evil tendencies. However, the highest virtue consists in the sacrifice of self-interest for the good ones, neighbors without ulterior motives. The greatest merit is that which is based on the most disinterested charity. So that's the definition of the virtues. In reality, when we are looking and acquire more virtues, we always want to experience more well-being, more peaceful life, right? More happiness. And when we start to focus and acquire virtues and experience the virtues in our life, we started to live a more ethical life. We start to experience a life where there is a little bit more love rather than fear, a little bit more kindness rather than guilt. And most profoundly, we start becoming more and more understanding how destructive not to have an ethical life means to us and to others. So more we perceive in this path, we're becoming aware how much we have been against ourselves and not acquiring the virtues, not to have an ethical life. And when we're experiencing a more ethical life, when we're experiencing, practicing a little bit more virtues, we start experiencing a little bit more joy, a little bit more peace, a little more happiness. I would say a little more moments of happiness. And of course, a lot more peace of mind. The opposite of that is suffering, isn't it? So, let's talk a little bit about this. Our past life history provides us with an automatic repetition of habits and attitudes. This is our inheritance. We have negative and positive habits. We need to enhance the positive ones and eliminate the negative one. This is the true combat we need to engage. That's the true combat. And the Spirit's book also said, among all the vices which you might regard as the root, we have already told you many times that selfishness, all evil derives from it. Study all the vices and you see that selfishness is in the bottom of them all. As much as we struggle against them, you will never uproot them as long as you have not destroyed their cause. that all efforts tend towards that end, because selfishness is incompatible with just love and charity. It neutralizes other qualities. So we see that even though we want to do goodness, we want to make those resolutions happen, but if we not address the root, what takes us to experience those tendencies, we are not winning this game. So this is the combat that we really need to engage in. This is the combat that Jesus talked about when he said, I didn't bring you peace, I brought you the sword, right? So use that as a weapon to fight this selfishness, this pride that is the root, our negative tendencies that keep us from experiencing the goodness. And it is a fact, many of us suffers in different moments, in different quantity. Sometimes one event can make a major impact in someone and can make a devastating effect in their lives. And for some, the impact is not so hard. They manage the situation and they move on. And we all experience a different level of the suffering. And basically, when we experience a suffering that we are not handling, it just means that we have a lesson there to understand. We haven't seen it yet. What do we need to see? What do we need to learn in order to embrace that suffering? Because the only thing we can change is when we see, right? If we don't see it, we cannot change. And the suffering stays with us until we acknowledge them, what's going on. And if we don't take care of that suffering, those emotions and feelings sort of that are manifesting in a very confused way for us, they will stay there. And they will help us to be in disharmony of ourselves. They are contributing for us to feeling very uncomfortable. They make us be fixing some things that we cannot handle and make us compulsive in many aspects, and in a more extreme form can lead us to be addicted. Addiction comes from this unmanaged circumstance and suffering. So many of us, sorry to say, suffer a lot. And many of us suffer addiction of suffering. We are so used to be suffering that we get addicted to it, to that adrenaline of suffering. Many of us are addicted to feel like a victim. Everything happening goes right there, having that victim eyes. And many times we have situations that is completely out of control for us. And then that's the moment that we need to do some investigation. What's going on here? What's going on here? Those parts that is out of control for us is our inadequacy. We feel inadequate. Those are the parts that is our imperfections that keep us from relaxing, that keep us from experiencing our divine self. Those are the parts that we need to embrace. That's the suffering that we need to embrace and transcend. Paul said to us in Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 7, that the discipline comes for us to suffer. The suffering comes for us to give us discipline. So every time we're experiencing suffering, it is an indication we needed to be a little bit more disciplined, have more discipline in our life. So we start to perceive that our education, adequate education, can help us to perceive a little more what's going on with us. And we learn being aware what's going on in here, help us to manage life a little more, and help us to manage the events so they don't have such a devastating effect in our life. So we needed to learn to manage those circumstances, those events, rather than allow the events managing us. So we see that when we learn to dust it off our psychic structures from these tendencies, from this dust, this pollution, this suffering that create us to be acting this way, and when we start learning the reflection that we see of us outside of us, and we started to looking, what is repeating here that I needed to learn? Because it doesn't matter how much you're suffering is a little bit, and move on with that suffering, or if you're stuck in a great pain and you don't know what to do. In any circumstance, when there is suffering, there is a lesson to learn. And if you experience that, is an indication in that area, you haven't seen it yet, the lesson. In that area, you don't know how to handle the circumstance in a daily life that is presented to you, that is creating that suffering. So it is imperative that we learn to observe those feelings, to manage those emotions for us to progress. So we know that none of us are here in a ride, in a free vacation, right? Everybody has an understanding that we are here in this incarnation to learn. Everybody has that feeling. You know, I like to make an analogy, like I feel like I'm in a boarding school. We're in a boarding school. And we are here to learn the lessons, and when we graduate, we go back home. It's a wonderful way to look, isn't it? So we are here to learn it, to better ourselves, to perfect ourselves, because that's our journey. We were created, divine beings, to perfect ourselves until we are perfect, like Jesus, right? So we needed to use every opportunity that we have to learn. So we don't need to be, knowing that viewpoint, we don't need to be surprised when a crisis comes, right? When something comes and is out of control, you don't know what to do. We don't need to be scared. We don't need to be surprised. We just remember, life presents an opportunity for me to learn something. So there is a wonderful book in Portuguese. We say, problems, great. We needed to say that. That should be our first energy. Hippie, I'm going to learn something really great here. Okay? And just keep in mind that suffering is just a phase. So even though we find it difficult in getting to know ourselves, an evaluation of our tendencies and the way we relate with others could bring light to the end of the tunnels. By doing this, we'll become more aware, and we start to create a very strong foundation within. So it is imperative, I know every talk we do, we talk about the same thing, get to know ourselves, because definitely this is the foundation of everything. This is the part where all fun begins, because it's a very interesting ride, getting to know ourselves, get to learn what we need to learn. And I know it is very difficult. But until we do evaluation of our pains, we have an understanding of our tendencies. And that is going to reflect in our relationship with ourselves. That's going to reflect in our relationship with God. And when we do this work, when we do this path of getting to know and have like enthusiasm approach, like hippie, we're going to learn something here, we started bringing a little bit more peace, and we start to find a more colorful pathway for us to go in life. Because that's where we want to do, right? That's where we want to be. We want to be in a path that a little bit lighter, right? A little bit more peaceful, more colorful. And that's what we need to do. We need to start bringing more light home. In the chapter 10, in the item 12 in the gospel, in that part when they brought the adult woman and they were ready to stone the woman, Jesus said, "He that is without a sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her." Everybody remember this passage of the gospel, right? So in this passage, definitely Jesus is starting reminding us the importance of indulgence. It's very important for us to be indulgent with someone else's imperfection. He also reminded us for us not to judge. Like Claudia was saying in the beginning, we quickly go and judge others. So he reminded us not to judge, because we all have imperfections and we don't want to be judged, right? We need everybody's indulgence, so we shall not do that. But most important, in that passage, Jesus is teaching us to look within first before acting, right? So he invited us. He knew that we have a lot to learn because we don't know how to do this movement that well. So he invited us, let's observe ourselves first. And let's see what's in here. before condemning anybody, before judging anybody. Let's have a look and observe ourselves. So back then, Jesus was already telling us, let's observe ourselves. Let's learn what's going on with us, right? So we brought here from the book, The Path of Virtues, for Jason Camargo, and he talked about the techniques of self-observation. And of course, when everything goes smooth in our lives, we kind of look and everything, we are able to manage it. But here is the moment when everything is confused. We have like a fog in front of us. We have a lot of fear or anxieties. That is the moment we need to bring the tools to help us. That is the moment that we need to look, what's going on here? And this is a very gentle and gradual approach for us to look and try to perceive what's happening to us. Everybody can tell a moment in a life that feels so soggy, had so much fear, anxiety, don't know what to do. No? Yes. Oh, thank you. All right. So he invited us with this technique to start observing the exteriors first. You start to look around you, how you are behaving exteriorly. Look at the way you are eating. Are you eating calmly, or you're eating too fast and stuff yourself? Are you sleeping well? How is your bedroom? How is the piles of work? Is piling up? How's your closet? Is it nice and neat? You start looking around outside and try to do actions that can create a little bit of harmony in the exterior. It has a major impact within. So that will be a very gentle, gradual approach. The next step is start to observe what's happening right here. Just observe. Observe if someone talking or what come to you. If you enter in a place, how does it make you feel? When you get close to someone, what evokes inside of you? You start to very gently observe that. You start observing your thoughts. See which thoughts is there repeatedly, and sometimes sabotaging us and invite us to do things that does not align with the actions you want to do. Observe your thoughts, then observe your emotions. See what kind of emotion those thoughts bring in and what's going on here. And when you get close to people, what you feel, what your emotions are coming up. And then get observing your feelings. And you start feeling, observing them, and you see how they are contributing for you in your tendencies. And you start observing what kind of feelings that is keeping you from feeling relaxed and getting to know yourself. So that's starting being aware. And that is the point. That's the only way we can transform anything, when you start seeing what is going on. And of course, we can stay here like doing a talk in these topics already, but we just needed to go smoothly. So basically, the agent that makes a change is our conscious. That's why God wrote all the divine laws in our conscious. So it's the conscience being a little bit more awake that's going to give us more information. Let's move, let's change. Let's give us a sign that we needed to do something different. Because until the conscious does not kick in, we can pass flat. How many times we've done things repeatedly, never hit home? You're totally unaware that you hurt someone. But out of the blue, you start to perceive a little more your actions. You start to perceive a little more what's going on. And then when you hurt someone with one phrase that was not soft, that makes you feel uncomfortable. And you become more aware, and your conscious starting alerting you, something needs to change. Some behaviors needs to change, because become intolerable to experience what we do. Who understand what I'm talking about? And that is a great suffering, because we want to change something that is creating pain, and our conscious alert us doesn't feel aligned with us this any longer. We need to change that. So the talk today is all about awakening our conscious to invest in our virtue, so we can truly change and make an alignment in our conscious with our acts. It would be wonderful, like lying down our head in our pillow and have a peace of conscience that I did everything I could that day, that no one can say anything wrong about me. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself. I'm in peace. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And that's the good news. Can be achieved. Can be achieved. We are working on it. So, when the consciousness started being more awake, serene, we can look in the things that we need to change. That change only happens when you become crystal clear that you have insatisfaction where we are in our life. You know, that moment that you say, I need to change this. And that evokes a sincere desire to change. You are persistent and achieve that change. Disposition to accept ourselves and a capacity to grow emotionally. When we put these things together and have an understanding what they mean in our life, we get more motivation to change. That's when the real change starts taking effect. Many times we want to change, but we don't want to work about accepting ourselves. And guess what? Goes backward, doesn't help. So we needed to put those elements, and we needed to be willing to grow. And willing to grow means willing to look within and understand what's going on, so we know what needs to change. So that's the step. And when we start in accepting ourselves, and acceptance, it has a great role in this process for us to include and acquire new virtues. We need to accept where we are. And that's the only way we can start relaxing a little bit, because breaking the resistance, it is a first step for us to move on and attract and invest in more virtues. The acceptance where we are, accepting ourselves, accepting our imperfections, is going to help us to take the first layer of discomfort. So we can move on, you can feel relief, and you feel a fresh air. And that fresh air empowers us to go one step ahead. Because the resistance that we reject the way you are or where we are in life, that feeds our imperfection, that feeds our fears, that feeds our anxiety. So removing the resistance and just accepting with that spirit, hey, hippie, I'm going to change something, that self relaxes and empowers us to go. So when we take the resistance out of the way and accepting ourselves, we start to have a little bit more discernment, because a lot of our attention that is stuck and resisting and suppress what we are experiencing is free. So that free attention that we have gives us a little bit more discernment for the next step. So another important viewpoint I would like to bring about acceptance, it is not a passive mode kind of attitude. Many people get confused. We talk a lot about that in our workshop, a virtual workshop. Many people has an understanding that acceptance is just be passive and just, okay, it is what it is. No, it's a very active mode, because acceptance, that means to surrender to the flow of life. As simple as that, just to surrender to the flow of life. It means that we need to modify some behaviors. Accept the behaviors we have, it means that we need to actively modify some of the behaviors to bring us a physical, spiritual, emotional, spiritual balance. And when we are in acceptance state, we are in a state of grace. And from that space, we have more chance to make better decisions for us. We have more strength to persevere in the path of the virtues that's going to help us to perfect ourselves. And when we practice, for instance, acceptance in the difficulties we have in life, it is just by accepting. It is tremendous amount of shift that happen. For instance, if you're having a difficulty with your ex-spouse, practice acceptance. Accept it for what he is, for the divine being he is. Accepted not just for his looks, what he does or what he's not doing. Accept for what he is. Connect with his divine being. And from that space, light is going to come to your marriage. And we needed to learn to apply the acceptance with all our relationships in all circumstances of life. Because that's what's going to help us to move to the next step. And when we accept and receive the surprises of life, a magical thing happens because we get empowered by the force of faith. Because acceptance is our way to connect with God. It's respecting the lessons that God is providing, giving us an opportunity for us to grow. And that is the path that is going to take us to find a more virtuous path for us. Faith is an incredible element for us to succeed in life. And acceptance is one element of the faith. And guess what? We need to practice. We're not very good in accept, are we? We resist it more, right? Another very important aspect is perseverance. Continue effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, opposition. This virtue contributes for us to succeed in every intent we have in life. Every intent we have in life. We have learned to master this virtue because this is the foundation for success of acquiring any other virtues. We need to persevere. That's the only way. And let's be aware what the obstacles that we encounter in our journey, routine, discouragement, and fears of change. Every time we have a new goal, every time we have a new resolution, every time we are determined to acquire a new virtue, those obstacles, it's going to show up. It's going to show up, and we need to use our strength, our faith, and persevere so we can overcome them. It is a fact. Life is full of challenge. That's the nature of being human being in this planet. So we need to persevere to overcome them, to overcome those challenges for us to succeed. And the purpose of our study groups, is the one we do in the Spirit's book and the workshop in the virtual, all of us are committed to learn the lessons of the gospel so we can learn to apply those lessons in our lives. By applying those lessons, we acquire more virtues. And that's a significant difference in our life. It is so touching for us. So many of us, by our own experience, and here every single day in the center, when I started to apply the lessons, when I started reading the gospel, when I did the gospel, everything gets lighter, easier, because we empower ourselves with new virtues, with new qualities that we needed to learn. So keep in mind that disciplinary tools for us to reduce our imperfection. And when we get crystal clear in our conscience, not just intellectual, here it's in our gut, that our suffering are disciplinary tools to reduce our imperfections. We get a little bit more enthusiastic to commit it to learning how to transform them. Because it's in our hands to take our life in the direction we want to be, isn't it? Is it here in our hands? So when we truly understand that we are free to make our choices, but we are prisoners of the consequence they generated, we started to honor a little more our path. And when we honor a little more this sacred path, we definitely commit to persevere. Persevere to do whatever it takes for us to progress. We persevere in learning new virtues that's going to empower us in the area that we are fragile, that is hurting us in our life. It is a very sacred journey. And just like acceptance, perseverance, we need to practice. Discipline. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. Matthew 24:13. Emmanuel comments about this phrase demonstrated that Jesus was not referring to the end, but symbolic, referring to achieving the objective to higher realms, to be a pure spirit, to achieve happiness. For us to aspire to be in a higher vibrations, higher realms, we must persevere. For us to evolve, we must persevere. For us to be in the regeneration, we must persevere. For us to learn to give the right amount of softness in our voice, we need to persevere. For us to learn to be a little happier in our relationship, we need to persevere. Persevere to acquire new virtues, to bring lights to the areas that the shadows is taking over. The process of evolution of the human beings happens for us practicing the divine laws present in our conscience. This practice happens in the development of virtues. In our spiritual march to progress, we are invited to awaken our conscience, to surrender to God and to divine laws, and transform and transcend the vices. So let's talk about developing a virtue a little more. A virtue is acquired by the habit to do good. And definitely when we say about habit, I guess most of us know what I'm talking about, right? Everybody's aware of the force of habit. Everybody has a bad habit that needs to conquer, and boy, it's so hard. Everybody who stops smoking knows what I'm talking about. Or everybody that want to eat a little healthier, or want to exercise, or bite your nails, name it. Any bad habit is such an immense force. And we realize the force of habit when we try to stop it. Everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. All right. And the funny thing, many people does not succeed in change a bad habit because they resist, they want to eliminate it, but we can't. It is too immense force. The most successful way to handle a bad habit is to create another one and replace it. So we needed to learn to use the force of a habit in our favor. Use the force of habit to create a good one. So we need to create the habit to do good. And that's the good news. We have the experience about the bad habit. We just need to switch to the good one. And we needed to do repeatedly and exhaustively these virtues, this habit, until we create a spontaneous awareness of these virtues in our life. So that means for the rest of your life, you know what I mean? Because some of these virtues are very big, and we need to practice to acquire. So we need to keep practicing all the time. So it is very important that we create the habit to do good. For instance, if you want to decide this new resolution, you want to be kinder. You want more kindness in our life. So we needed to practice to put kindness in our eyes, kindness in our thoughts. Put kindness on your choice. Like, don't want to be happy, you want to be kind, right? It's amazing how it just clocked together. Put kindness in our decisions. Put kindness in our words. Kind in our attitude. Kind in our actions. And we need to practice. That's the only way you're going to develop a virtue. And that means to all of them. So the success in developing a virtue is taking all the opportunities that life offers to us to act. All the opportunities. It doesn't matter if today I could not do any. Doesn't matter. New day, new opportunity. So you practice. Even if you acquire one drop of the virtue you want, practice. And celebrate that one drop is going to make a tremendous difference in our life. And that is the most important commitment that we can do with our sacred journey. So just to wrap it up, we want to see that no matter where we are in our life right now, if you experience struggles in your marriage, you struggles with your children, you struggles in your work or lack of work, doesn't matter. No matter what is manifesting in your life, just be aware that We don't need to be scared. It's just a life presenting opportunity for us to get a little bit more discipline. We need to be reminded that Jesus is driving the car with us. We are not alone. And in the moment that we accept where we are, and we are embraced with the force of our faith, and reminded that our mentors are 24/7 with us, we start vibrating a little more. And our vibration that is a little bit more virtuous. And from that space of acceptance and respect of the work that is happening here now, we started taking actions to commit, to persevere, so we can help our struggles to diminish it. And we can help even to eliminate them altogether, grasping the lessons. And how can we do that? We have so many tools available for us. We have the prayers, the meditation, all the tools that we have to get to know ourselves more. So we can manage those thoughts, those emotions, those feelings, to transcend them, embrace them, and bring light to our shadows by practicing all kinds of virtues. There are so many ways for us to study the virtues. Practice, bring those drops of virtues in our daily actions. And that's the way, slowly, we are going to move closer to the practice of the divine laws. That's the way we are going to start seeing a little bit more light in our path. And we are going to start seeing, rather than difficulties and obstacles, we are going to start noticing how the flowers are brighter, how the sky is more blue, because we are going to start getting more hope, more clarity, and more wisdom. So all this is urgent measures that we need to do to help our difficulties, the fields of pains that we bring on us, transform in a soft fragrance of the perfumes that the divine laws that God provides us. There is abundance of a wonderful perfume that we can incorporate in our being, in our palette. There are many wonderful options for us. And when we discover how much the virtues can help us, how much that can lighten our soul, and how much easier our paths become, we want to accept more, we want to persevere more, and we want to learn more. So I wish each of you contemplate, meditate which virtues you feel like investing and make a new resolution for 2013 be the year that we acquire the most quantity of virtues we can. So that's what I wish for all of us, more virtues, more virtues.